You are listening to the FORSCOM Frontline, bringing you to our soldiers on the front lines of readiness. Hey everyone, welcome to the FORSCOM Frontline. I'm Ashley and I'm your host. Today, I also have with me a co-host, Adam, who works in the FORSCOM Public Affairs Office and does our social media. So the reason Adam is here is that he has been following our unit Best Warrior competitions as well as our FORSCOM competition. So I thought he was a perfect person to join me for this episode since we're talking to the winners of the FORSCOM Best Warrior competition. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very happy to have you here. I'm not alone, which is very nice. So let's talk about what the Best Warrior competition is. These soldiers are competing to be named the 2021 Department of the Army NCO and Soldier of the Year. The Best Warrior competition recognizes soldiers who demonstrate commitment to Army values, embody the warrior ethos, and represent the force of the future.
So we have 24 of the Army's top soldiers and non-commissioned officers that are going to compete at Fort Knox, Kentucky for the U.S. Army 2021 Best Warrior competition. Now that all kicks off October 1st. The finalists, 12 soldiers, 12 NCOs, have proven themselves during subordinate competitions throughout the year. So this is the 20th year for the Best Warrior competition. Let's go ahead and welcome our FORSCOM NCO and Soldier of the Year. Our NCO of the Year is Sergeant Hunter Wilson, who was representing 3 Corps. Welcome, Sergeant Wilson. And then our Soldier of the Year is Specialist James Maynes, who represented 1st Corps. So welcome to both of you.
Hey guys, thanks for chatting with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to start off just by learning a little bit more about you. So let's go with Specialist Maynes. What is your MOS and how long have you been in the Army?
All right, I'm a 68 Whiskey healthcare specialist, or also the combat medic. And I've been in the Army for almost 3 years. I joined January 2019.
Nice.
And it's been good so far,
yeah.
Especially after this FORSCOM competition. Things have been really good.
Yeah. So why did you want to do medic?
Honestly, I looked at the whole list of MOSs, and none of the other MOSs interested me. No offense, Sergeant Wilson, but I just figured, like, if I'm going to join, might as well do something that, first off, that does it for me, that, you know, something that really interests me, and then also I was like, man, I have a good chance to help some people, so I figured it'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now, why did you want to join?
A couple reasons. First reason, growing up, I have family members that are military, and I was like, okay, they seem to have had a good experience.
Yeah.
I kind of want to follow what they did. And then also, it's very tempting when they'll pay for 3 full years of school
right.
once you're out. So that's
not a bad deal.
Good gig.
All right. Now, what about you, Sergeant Wilson?
So I'm a 19 Delta Cavalry Scout. I'm in a sniper section over in the 3rd Cavalry Regiment.
Okay.
I joined as a scout because one of my sergeants, I used to be a deputy sheriff before this.
Oh.
His name was Sergeant Tim O'Hare. He was a scout as well back in kind of the early 2000s time period, and he was a sniper as well. So I wanted to be a sniper and join the Army after being a deputy sheriff for a few years. So.
Well, that's really cool. I would not have. You do not look old enough. Like, you don't look like you were a deputy sheriff and now you're joining.
I'm 28.
Oh, well, not super old. So you aren't old. So how long have you been in the Army?
Since May of 2018, so just over 3 years.
Okay. So y'all are still pretty new.
Yeah, it's been a short time.
Yeah. And you've already reached this milestone, which is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So do you think the Army's a career for you, or?
Right now it's looking to be a career.
Okay.
I want to do a lot of stuff in the sniper community, and I would like to continue doing that, whether it be in the conventional, being just a kind of a normal line sniper, or go into the special forces community.
Nice.
As a sniper, that'd be the ultimate goal, honestly.
So you might end up here at Fort Bragg
We'll
eventually. Don't act so excited.
How about you, Specialist Maynes? Career, or just maybe an enlistment? What are you thinking?
Well, the one problem I have, we talked about this yesterday, was that there's so many choices in the Army that I have a hard time choosing which thing. And I would like to see it turn into a career, but I'm just having trouble figuring out how.
I understand.
What path that will be.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So since you've been here, you had the opportunity to meet a lot of leaders, I'm assuming, and I know you spent some time with General Garrett and Sergeant Major Sims. Can you talk some about that and what sort of advice that you guys have gotten?
Sure. He just wants us to continue on this azimuth that we've shot already, getting us to the point where we are now, as being the future leaders in the Army. He wants us to continue to be that pillar of technical and tactical expertise and continue to train and lead the troops, and good advice, sound advice.
Mm-hmm. Now, General Garrett said yesterday, I don't like to lose. So he put a little pressure on y'all. So
bit.
how's that feel, Specialist Maynes?
I'm not going to say it feels good to have that much pressure, but it's good motivation.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we want to represent our units well, like down at the company level, and then to battalion, brigade, and we would love to represent FORSCOM just as well as we have in the past. So
awesome.
We're definitely going to do our best for that.
And so speaking of the unit level, so you didn't just show up to the FORSCOM competition. There was a process to get there. So Sergeant Wilson, can you talk about the competitions prior to the FORSCOM competition?
Sure. So in my sniper section, we have a very disciplined group of guys, and the commanders really taken notice of us. So it was a Friday, and a competition was the next week for the 3rd Cavalry competition.
Wow.
And we didn't really know what we were getting into to start it. But our first sergeant came down and was like, hey, we need 2 people to represent Long Knife for this competition. And my section sergeant was like, well, either I'm doing it or you're doing it. And at the time, one of my teammates made it to the FORSCOM level as well, Specialist Yates. And they were like, well, Yates is doing it, no doubt, or my section sergeant said. So, and I was like, well, if Yates is doing it, I'm doing it. So we went on the Friday, had the weekend, and then the next week the competition started. And Yates and I both won.
I was going to say Yates was here yesterday. He was a runner-up.
Yep. So right after that, we were almost late to our award ceremony for the 3rd Cavalry Regiment because we were packing to go to a range the next week because it was just kind of a crazy time. And they announced that we were going to be competing for 3 Corps representing the cavalry or the 3rd Cavalry Regiment. And we were like, all right, I guess this is pretty serious. So went to that one. We both won that one again, and then went to FORSCOM.
That's awesome that y'all are like in the same unit.
Yeah, we work together every single day.
That's very cool.
That must have been nice having that familiar face.
Oh, it's so great.
He's
such a great kid too, just to bounce ideas off of, and he deserves to be a sergeant right now. He's going to sniper school on Sunday, so that's kind of.
Nice.
I was supposed to be going with him, so I'm kind of jealous.
Now, Specialist Maynes, you are actually, and we were going to talk about this a little later, but I'm just going to go now, are the first soldier to represent 1st Corps in the FORSCOM competition. So can you talk about how you got here?
Yeah. First of all, I think it's crazy because I didn't know that until yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did not know. But to get here was definitely interesting. One day I was just walking through our company area, and my commander's like, oh, hey, you're going to the Best Warrior competition for a battalion. I was like, oh, okay. So I'd never been to a board at this point, so I was the most nervous about a board. But fortunately, I've got really, really good NCOs. Sergeant Crawford, Sergeant Busto, Sergeant Belmer, Sergeant Crisolo. They all helped me get ready for the board. And I took battalion, and then there was a brigade competition, went to that. And all this helped me to go to the promotion board, which at the time I was like, okay, this is what this helped me do, is get to the promotion board. Like, I don't know what's going to happen after. And then we had a division competition for 593rd ESC, and then 1st Corps, and then FORSCOM. So it's just been it's been a high pace.
Yeah.
A lot of boards. Been to 7 boards in the last 5-6 months.
Wow. Yeah, you're ready.
Yeah. So it sounds like this is the first time either of you have done a Best Warrior competition. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Mm-hmm. Would you do it again? Can you do it again?
I think there's some rules that state that we can't do it again, but I don't know if that's going to change in the future because I'd love to compete again. And just
why do you think? Why? Like, what do you think the benefit?
The camaraderie.
Yeah.
The networking and connections that you make. So I have some really good friends. We keep in touch still through to this day from the Best Warrior competitions.
Okay.
I mean, from every one, we have like 1 or 2 guys that we still keep in contact with today. And
well, and it's got to be, I mean, you're competing and you're with the best of the best. And I know we've said that before, you know, these are the best of the best, but you're literally with them and learning from each other. So I'm sure that's got to mean something as well, in that you take back with you.
Just like-minded individuals. I mean, we're all super competitive, and we just want to win. And it just is. It's so much fun doing these competitions.
And so you push each other since you're all so competitive. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And that's been one of the really fun things too. Is the last, like, basically every competition I've competed in, the first like 5 minutes you're there when you're first meeting people, it's a little. You're like,
awkward.
Ooh, like, who is this guy? Like,
it's a little sizing everybody up.
Yeah, a little icy. And then after 5 minutes, you feel like you're not competing. You feel like you're like this is your unit, and you're going to accomplish this task. Like at FORSCOM, after literally the first 5 minutes, when I got to meet a couple people in our bay, I was like, man, like I wasn't even thinking about competing. I was like, we're just going to go do these events, go learn from each other, have fun.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Awesome.
So speaking of some of the events, can you tell us about some of these events that you went through for FORSCOM? Like I heard the mystery event was running in a bomb suit.
That was great. I love that.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, we woke up and they're like, yeah, we're going to take you to the mystery event. And we hopped on a bus and...
And this is what? Is this the last day?
Very last day.
Very last day.
Right before the board.
Okay.
And we get out of the bus. We don't know what's going to happen. It's super early. I think it was like 5 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
4:30.
really
Yeah, and we get out and we see these EOD suits, and we're like, okay, well, guess we're doing something with those. And they're like, yeah, you're going to run a mile. And it was actually really fun, though.
Really?
I mean, yeah, it was cool, like, getting to put on the suit. Like, when are you going to get a chance? Yeah,
They're about 90 pounds, yeah.
Are they really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Had you ever worn one?
No. I had no, that wasn't even in. So I was thinking we were going to do something like esprit de corps, like kind of with Sergeant Major Sims. We were all, because we were in our boots, PT shorts, and our FORSCOM shirts, and we're like, okay, we're either doing something esprit de corps with Sergeant Major Sims, like PT, or there's something crazy about to happen. So we were all kind of like, what do you think's happening? And then we got out there and we saw the EOD suits, and we're like, oh, this is going to be
what was your first thought? Like,
I've never put one on, and I know they have fans and stuff, and I was looking on my left arm trying to get the internal fan to work because it was so hot in the suit.
I bet it was.
But they took all the batteries out.
Of course they did. And you were in Kansas, and when was this? Early August.
Yeah.
So Kansas gets warm in August.
We actually were there at the most like perfect timing because the week before it was 100+ degrees. The week we were there, it was like 80s, 85.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was like the best week we could have asked for.
That's awesome. I was at Fort Riley for 3 years, and it can get hot. So you guys lucked out there.
Definitely.
Were there any other events that stick out in your mind that were either horrible or were a lot of fun? Maybe both?
The fitness test was a shock because when you go to these competitions, you just assume you're doing an ACFT because that's such a standard metric that they can judge your overall fitness level off of. But we went there, and it was like running a quarter mile and then 50 deadlifts, run another quarter mile, 50 burpees, run a quarter mile, 50 ball slams with 50 lunges, run a quarter mile. It was just
wow.
After like one after another, we ended up running a lot and took it around like averagely like 30 minutes to finish, and it was just a smoker.
Sounds like it.
For sure.
I was done.
It's like someone took the ACFT and a really awful CrossFit workout and put them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Sergeant Major Sims.
I believe that was him. But it was we've done so many ACFTs in the last year doing these competitions. It was nice just to have a change of pace.
Yeah.
But yeah, then there was shooting events and stress shoot was fun. We got to drag a Skedco, 500 meters maybe, shoot and up and downhill. That was fun. The warrior task and battle drill lanes ran really excellently. My favorite was the medical lane. There was a master sergeant in charge of that, and he ran that really well, and it was just a good time.
So do you feel like you have a edge on the competition when you do like the medical lane or anything?
A little bit, but one thing that's interesting about going into these lanes, being like an actual medic, is there's so much more that I would carry in my aid bag. So when I get out there, I'm like, what is the scope of practice here? Like what can I do?
So you ask all the questions.
So I'm like, yeah, can I, like, if his airway is not clear, I'm like, can I crike him? And they're like, no.
That's not part of this.
Okay, yeah. So it's interesting, but I mean, I definitely have familiarity with all the equipment that we would use or that could be thrown at us.
Sure.
So that is an edge for medical.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So from like previous competitions and then even the FORSCOM competition, what is it that you guys are taking away from that to prepare for this Army level?
Well, at least for me, there were so many things that I was very unfamiliar with, or even that I had almost no experience with before going to the first competition.
Such as what?
Such as like land navigation. Even at our first corps competition, I had some trouble with my land nav because we never got to go out and really practice. So one thing I've been taken back, I already went and did some land nav before coming here with a buddy because he's like, hey man, I don't know how to do this. Can you show me? So we went and found some points on posts and showed him what I've learned so far, and it's been good. So
excellent.
Yeah.
How about you, Sergeant Wilson?
You just kind of take away those deficiencies that you realize going through the competitions, minor deficiencies that you just try to correct on. And it's nice because doing these competitions, you do a wide variety of military tasks that you kind of learn, I need to brush up on my CBRN, or I need to brush up on what Sergeant Maynes is saying, land nav. But I don't know, just as a section, we just train so hard weekly and daily anyways that we have a land nav course that's ran it a couple weeks ago, and it ended up being almost about 15 miles of just land naving. And it was
in Texas.
Yes, it was in an area about 4 clicks by 4 clicks wide, so kilometers wide, and it took 6 hours to move about 15 miles. And
so, Specialist Maynes, you're out at GBLM. How do you like it out there?
Okay, I love JBLM.
I've heard nothing but amazing things about GBLM.
It's fantastic. A lot of people hate the rain because it gets very rainy for most of the year. But there's a lot to do. If you go 2 hours west, you hit the beach. If you go 2 hours east in the winter, there is good skiing. If you go 45, 50 minutes north, Seattle. Anything you would want to do out there, if you're like an outdoorsman, if you like being outside, there is to do.
Yeah.
So.
This is your first duty station, correct?
Correct.
And what about you?
Yeah, Fort Hood. It's my first duty station as well. And I love it down there. I love to fish, so
that's awesome.
It's great fishing down in Texas.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little scared to ask you because I wasn't sure what your answer was gonna be about Fort Hood. I wasn't sure where you were gonna go with it.
No, Fort Hood's a great place.
Awesome.
I love Fort Hood.
Where are you from?
I'm from Wisconsin.
So not Texas.
No, not at all. No. A break from the winters is nice down in Texas, but it gets incredibly hot.
I feel that. I grew up at Fort Drum, essentially, and the winters are miserable.
I know the feeling.
And so now that I'm down here, I'm like, I don't ever need to see snow again. I'd be perfectly content with no snow. And what about you, Specialist Man? Where are you from originally?
Utah.
Okay,
yeah. So I need the snow.
Yeah.
We got the best snow ever too. So that was one of the things I was nervous about going to JBLM. I'm like, man, is the skiing going to be as good?
I was just going to ask, are you a snowboarder or a skier?
Both.
Any of that? Okay. Yeah. Funny story. I tried to ski when I was in like 5th grade. My dad took me to like the small hill where I grew up, and it went terribly bad. I almost ran into the lodge. Like I could not stop on the skis. It was terrible. And ever since then, whenever somebody's like, my husband grew up in Arkansas, and so he always wants to, like, when he sees snow, he's like, oh my goodness, there's snow. And he wants to go do something in it. And I'm not all about that. And so he's like, let's go snowboarding. And I was like, you can go by yourself. I'm not doing it.
This past February in Texas, we had that snow, like Armageddon blizzard. Me and my wife are from the north, and it got to, I think it was like -20 one day down there in Texas. And we're like, man, we got a taste of the Wisconsin winter.
Right.
And we were out there, we were grilling in the cold, and we were like, we missed this weather.
Our house, we have a fireplace, and we're in North Carolina. Like, you don't really need a fireplace, in my view. My husband's always like, we really need to get some propane for the fireplace so that we can use it. I'm like, dude, it gets to like 60 degrees. We don't need a fireplace. So, anyways, so how does it feel to be competing at the Army level? Sergeant Wilson, we'll go with you first.
It's awesome to represent the Corps, the 3rd Cavalry Regiment, my sniper section, obviously. It's just awesome being able to compete at such a high level and with a high level of competitors, because really the events don't change from competition to competition. It's the level of competition.
And I was going to ask you about that too. And I think you just answered it, but my question was going to be, how has it progressed? Was it easier at the start and FORSCOM competition got a little bit harder, or?
I mean, they all have kind of like their variables and kind of tweaks between the competitions, but generally you can kind of expect to do land nav every single one. A fitness test, you're going to shoot, you're going to do medical, you're going to do the warrior tasks and the different drills, but some just do it a little different, but you can be prepared for all those things, in my opinion. And
what about you, Specialist Maynes?
Yeah, it feels really good to get up to this level, because every time I've made it to the next level and competed, I've learned something. And every time I've been able to learn something, I can come back to the unit and be like, hey, like, I didn't even know this. Like, check this out. Or maybe we could do things differently like this. Or Also, training up for each event, I just get to meet so many people that help me train. Sure. And it's great to have those resources to run training at your unit level.
Well, and that's a question too. So are you focusing on training a little bit more for the competitions, or are you just kind of like doing your daily battle rhythm?
Definitely training focused.
And what about you?
So it's such a weird thing with the group of guys I'm with, is we're so training focused that really nothing's changed, because
it's just what you
my
do.
section sergeant Harmon was a machine gunner in the Marines. He was a scout sniper in the Marine Corps. He's a sniper in the Army, and he runs us until we're proficient in everything we do. He will never take credit for me being here, but he is the reason why I'm here. My section sergeant. He'll never admit that, and he'll hate that I even brought it up. But I mean, we'll break out the 50 cals, and we're not even M-towed 50 cals, and we'll just be proficient at 50 cals, 249s, 240s, M320s, M17s, everything.
Yeah.
All the weapons in our armory, he breaks out for us. And
which, I mean, and General Garrett says this all the time, is that we're modernizing and we're getting this new equipment, but you've got to master the fundamentals. And it sounds that's exactly what you guys are doing.
What we did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, right after the competition, I think I was trying to reach out to you, but you were in the field already.
Yes.
It was like you came back from the competition and went right to the field.
We are in the field every single week.
Are you really?
We're doing stalking almost, either bi-weekly or weekly. We're stalking, doing range estimation, target detection with the spotters, practicing our field craft, just maneuvering as a team-sized element, because it's different with the sniper team. It's a lot different fundamentals than maybe like the basic infantry patrolling. It's the same kind of principles, but it's just a little different. So we go out there and practice all of our skills. We're in the field a lot, and even for the IPR that I had to do for FORSCOM, I had to come in for a virtual meeting. I was in the field, and I had to come into the 3-Corps building full of face paint. we were running a field op.
So do you feel like you have a good balance though, between your still being at home and having that personal downtime?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, yes.
Okay. Now, I want to go back just a little bit. Y'all said that you've been in the Army for 3 years, but here you are, you're going to the Army level best soldier and NCO of the year competition. That is pretty incredible. Has that like hit you at all? I mean,
not
or
really.
is it not really thinking about that?
Just kind of doing our job. I don't know how to explain it. It's crazy though, because I was a corporal for the first competition, and I was trying out for the NCO, but there was almost a mix-up to where I wasn't going to be able to compete on the NCO level because I was just a corporal. But luckily I picked up my sergeant June 1st of this year, so that was pretty recent too.
Well, congratulations.
But it's been crazy being in the NCO competition, competing against sergeant first classes and staff sergeants, and I've been a sergeant for only 2 or 3 months. So
it's pretty awesome.
So do you have any deployments under your belt?
Nope, haven't had the.
How about you, Specialist Maynes?
Nope.
No?
Haven't had the chance yet.
Okay.
Trying.
It might be a while now, right?
Well,
we'll see.
We'll see. My husband is currently deployed to Poland. It's super hardship. He's in Norway right now, seeing the Northern Lights. I'm like, you need to not talk to me because I'm a little jealous. So let's talk about support from your units. Like we said before, Specialist Maynes, this is the first time that a soldier from First Corps is going to represent FORSCOM at the Army level. So what has the support been like from your unit?
It's been, frankly, amazing. I mentioned a couple NCOs earlier, and really though, I owe so much to them because I'm a very new soldier, and there's so much that I'm unfamiliar with. Yeah. And being a medic from a medical company, there's a lot in these competitions that a lot of us aren't familiar with, such as all the weapon systems, because we just have M4s and M17s. So leadership's been excellent because they're like, hey, you don't know about this, and we don't have much experience either, but we're going to figure it out. I know a guy. And then they coordinate, communicate, and they line things up. Yeah. Sometimes most of the time without me asking. They're like, oh, yeah, hey, we put this together. Or hey, how does this sound? That's awesome. Basically, they've had my back the whole way and before too. So,
all right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And Sergeant Wilson, we have seen on Facebook the support from your unit. How's that feel? And, especially going into the Army competition? How does that help?
It's always nice having someone in your corner,
Yeah.
especially your leadership. They give us pretty much ultimate freedom of maneuver to do our training and do what we need to do to go on to the next one, because we've been so successful so far.
Yeah.
So it's good.
All right.
How about your families? Are you getting like support from home and,
yeah.
and they're following along? And
Yeah, family's the biggest supporter.
Yeah.
Wife back home is, I don't know if she's listening, if this is live, but
It's not live.
she'll listen to
Yeah.
this, and she wanted to, so
Awesome.
She was pretty excited about this because we're both into the podcast thing. So
Awesome. Well, that's awesome that you are into podcasts. I'm glad that we were able to get you and do this. So you guys were supposed to jump with the Golden Knights, and we were supposed to interview you over there, and then it got canceled, which is, we were sad about it. So I'm sure y'all are sad about it.
you have another opportunity to jump with them in the future. Is that how that works?
yeah, they gave us a certificate for whenever we're either back at Bragg or they're doing training on our like home station units that
that's
we
excellent.
can just go jump with them. So.
That's awesome. I'm gonna assume neither of you have ever done jumping out of a plane.
I haven't, but I know specialists.
You
does
have?
a lot.
Yeah, I'm a licensed skydiver.
What?
That's one of the things I do.
That's
on the
amazing.
weekends.
So you just like to jump out of perfectly good airplanes.
Yes.
So would you have still jumped tandem with the Knights then, you think?
Yeah, so we actually asked them. I was like, hey, I have my own rig and all the equipment. Can I just bring my stuff and just jump with you guys?
Yeah.
And the answer we got was no. I don't really know why.
Liabilities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
possibly, yeah. But yeah, hopefully in the future we get to jump with them. So maybe if they're in the area, I could be like, hey, come over to this drop zone and we can.
So you like to, how did you get into this? This is so interesting.
So before I joined, is like 2017. I watched this documentary about skydiving and base jumping. I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I've never done that. So I went and did a tandem jump at the local drop zone, and I really liked it. So I did another one. And they're like, hey, if you really like this, you can just enroll in the first jump course and get your license. So I was like, okay. So
Okay.
yeah, and then here we are.
So how often are you jumping out of planes, would you say?
Not as often recently.
Okay.
Just because of all the competitions.
Sure.
But earlier this summer, I bought my first rig. So hopefully once things cool down, I'll be going every weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It is very cool, but I have so many questions and so many thoughts. Like, all the questions in my head and all the thoughts that I can't get out of my mouth.
Have you jumped before?
I have not, because I'm terrified. I hate flying. Like, once we get off the ground, I'm good when we're just like in the air. But then the minute we like shake a little, I'm like, oh my goodness, we're going down. and then landing, I'm like, there's no way we're gonna make this. What are we doing? We're gonna crash and be a ball of flames. This is me flying, and my husband hates flying with me.
Well, luckily you don't have to worry about the landing because you won't be landing
Except
with
that
the
you're
plane.
falling from the sky. That whole part is a little terrifying. So do you have anything interesting about you, Sergeant Wilson?
No, pretty.
You don't jump out of planes
No,
in your free time?
Just fishing.
Fishing's cool.
Fishing,
It
reading,
is.
hiking.
Okay.
Just hanging out with my wife.
Sounds like you like the outdoors.
Definitely.
Yeah, excellent.
So you all also got a lot of stuff from sponsors for this. We saw that you guys got like this amazing FORSCOM
Like big
metal plaque thing.
Yeah, that was very nice.
So first, have fun taking that home on the airplane, but everything else too. I mean, I just imagine that it must feel really nice to do all of this and then be recognized for it, and to also just have reached this level.
I almost feel indebted to all the people that have brought us gifts and been rewarded like this, just because competing is kind of all I thought it was going to be. Just you go there, win, get recognized a little bit, go on to the next. And I had no idea it was going to be like this. I'm
really excited to watch the Army competition and see.
Absolutely.
We'll be following you for sure. And Adam does our social media, so
So I'll be pushing.
he'll be
pushing
tweeting
the
y'all on
content.
Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. What, tweeting on Facebook? Yeah, we will be.
I don't know if y'all have seen that show, but do you know where it's from? Oh, I'm so sad. We'll talk about it when we're not recording anymore. So what else? What haven't we talked about? Anything?
I don't know, is there anything that you guys want to mention, or I don't know, that special shout out to leadership or family or whoever's been in your corner the most?
Well, I got two things. First, special shout out to my roommate, Sergeant Thompson.
Okay.
He's also one of those NCOs that helped me get here, and he's also just a good friend. So
Awesome.
shout out to you, bro. And then also, I would recommend, like, any soldier, if they want to do it, go compete. If it's at your company level, battalion, brigade. At least for me, it's been a huge learning experience, and you get to meet a ton of cool people. And there's basically you'll only benefit from competing.
Right.
It might kind of stink at times. No one likes to ruck 12 miles. I mean, maybe there's someone, but
I bet there is.
Yeah, but you'll always get something out of it. So I'd highly recommend.
And so what you just said made me think of something. Of course, we talk a lot about readiness. And as a medic, and you've talked about this a little bit, but the other skills that you're learning only contribute to your overall readiness. So I feel like going through these over and over again must just, it really helps you and really builds to our readiness of the Army.
Definitely.
Yeah, because it does.
Yeah, like there's so many things that fall under like the total soldier concept.
Right.
And sometimes, especially if you're in like a more specialized unit, you might not touch on these other things.
Well,
as
exactly
often.
like you said. Yeah. And you're getting the opportunity to learn a little bit more than what you would potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get to see what's out there.
Yeah.
Especially if it's your first duty station, first unit.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, there's all these other roles that you can play, all these different things you can do, all this different equipment. So it's
and then you get put into like this melting pot with all of these soldiers and all of these other MOSs, and you get to learn from them too and see what skills that they have. So
yeah, it was pretty interesting. At the last competition, we had representatives from like the Seaburn Command or from Seaburn, and you know they do better on Seaburn, but maybe some of us more combat MOSs do better in the shooting. So it's almost like it equals out in a sense to where. I'm not saying that we did bad at Seaburn, but they have an edge because that's their MOS.
I bet they wore a bomb suit before. So when they put that on, it wasn't as crazy for you to put it on.
Yeah, there was a Sergeant Cormier. He's going to EOD. He's actually just left this morning. He was the runner-up for the NCOs. He's going to EOD, and there's another EOD competitor there. And so they have done the bomb suit before. Yeah. So that was...
They knew what to expect.
They knew how heavy it was.
But
so, no, you go ahead.
So, yeah, I remember looking, like, when we were building the competitors, you know, the baseball card graphic for, you know, the MOSs were, I mean, there was even someone from a band that was, you know, bass guitars. I mean, there was MOSs from,
from
everywhere.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was. And it was just interesting to see, you know, everyone competing at such a high level.
Well, and that you can be in the band and you're still a soldier, I think, was what I took away from that one.
And he had his expert soldier badge as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he'd went through the EIB, ESB, so which is very hard to do as well. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what about you, Sergeant Wilson? I keep wanting to call you Sergeant Hunter. Shout outs to anybody.
No, I think I touched on it before, just my section back home. Can't wait to get back to training with them full time again. And 2 of my boys just went off to school. They report on Sunday. So Sergeant Gorley and Specialist Yates, and they'll do fantastic. They'll come back, get me spun up because I was supposed to be going with them. And then I hopefully go into the U.S. Army Sniper Course in January. So
awesome.
Great. So Specialist Maynes, you mentioned when we were talking about boards, you mentioned going to the promotion board. So how'd that go? Is it going to be Sergeant Maynes soon, or?
Hopefully, if I can get to BLC.
You gotta get through competitions first.
Yeah. There's been so much that was scheduled that had to get canceled because of the competitions. So, which is, I mean, in a sense, a good thing because I didn't think I'd make it this far. So we'd schedule something in say October, and now that can't happen. But yeah, hopefully soon.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? I mean, you want to get that sergeant, but also look at where you're competing and what you're learning and how you're developing yourself as a leader too. You know, that's awesome. So
definitely. Thank you.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us and taking the time.
Thanks again for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And good luck at the Army competition. We will be cheering for you. And Adam, thank you for being my co-host today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
Maybe.
Don't commit to anything. And lastly, for our listeners, the Army's NCO of the Year and Soldier of the Year will be announced during the AUSA annual meeting October 11th through the 14th. Follow FORSCOM on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to see who takes home the top spot. And we'll see you next time on the Frontline.